Hi everyone, Jackie Kelm here, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to get off the struggle bus in your relationship so that you can truly be happy with people, especially who think differently than you, who may be on the opposite side of the political spectrum or have different views on social issues and so forth. With the holidays coming, I thought this was particularly important, and what I'm going to share today are the 5 things that will set you free in your relationships. So let's go. So the first one is to feel good, to think good. And the idea here, if you saw my Staying Sane series, which you can also see on YouTube, is that we have these 2 parts of our brain. We have this reptilian brain, and then we have the cortex, which is our thinking brain. And unfortunately, we are wired backwards for today's world. We have a brain that is used to fighting and flighting and blaming and doing all kinds of things that do not serve us well. What we really need is the cortex brain, which is our higher level thinking. This is the one that allows us to collaborate, to listen, to make good decisions, to think clearly. And so what's happening is all of us are running around in today's world and we're afraid and there's all these scary things going on and the reptiles are running the show. Okay, that's not a good thing. It means that we're constantly on guard. We're looking to fight and to defend ourselves. And it's not that we can't cooperate, we can't get along. And this is a big part of what's causing all of our relationship stress. So the bottom line here is don't let your reptiles rule in your relationships, okay? Well, how do you do that? Well, let's look at the next one. So the next one is that it all makes sense, just not to you. I'd like to suggest that all of us are rational. Every one of us comes to a situation with a lifetime of beliefs and experiences that we have had, and everyone is unique. And if you could get inside that person's head and you could see what they've been through, then what they do and why they do it would make perfect sense. So as crazy as it looks to you, it is absolutely rational, and they are just acting out of all of the things they've learned in their lifetime. So cut them some slack and cut yourself some slack too. So that's number 2. It all makes sense, just not to you. Number 3, flight, don't fight. Okay? Who's the fighter? Right here, right? The reptile brain. If you find yourself wanting to attack, getting mad, wanting to blame, wanting to lash out, you know your reptile is in charge. If you're with somebody at the dinner table and all of a sudden they bring up a topic or something you don't agree with and you feel that reptile coming out, tuck it away, change the subject. Flight. You can literally physically walk away or not engage in the conversation or say something like, hey, you know what? Let's talk about something else. And I would love to hear more about how you're doing. Let's change the subject because this isn't something that I really want to discuss right now. Because if this brain is out, you are not going to have a productive conversation. You are going to be defending, you're going to be reacting, and it's not going to work. It's going to break down your relationship. So number 3, flight, don't fight. And I just want to point out that the reptile brain feasts on being right and fighting and being on control, right? And it also very sneaky. It will use facts as a way to fight and say things like, well, did you see this report? Did you read this article? And in the spirit of thinking that it's being all intellectual and respectful, it's a form of fighting. You're not listening. You're trying to get your own way across. All right, so that's number 3, flight, don't fight. Number 4, get curious, not critical. Well, guess what? This is the curious brain, the cortex. This is the critical brain. And as I said, when this one's out, there's no way you're going to be curious, okay? This is one that's hard to really understand, and I'll talk about this in further videos. But it turns out these people who are completely opposite from you are your greatest teachers. It's the people who think differently from you where you can learn the most if you're open to it, if you've got the cortex. If you don't have the cortex on top, you aren't going to learn anything, because what are you going to be doing? You're going to be defending. You're going to be sharing data. You're going to be talking about why your position is right, okay? So number 4 is get curious, not critical. And sometimes you just can't get curious. You know, your reptile's out, you're like, there's no way, I don't like this person, I'm not engaging. You can't be curious. So what do? Number 3, right? You flight, you don't flight. But if you can stay in the game, if you can stay in the conversation, stay there feeling good, being curious, and you will be amazed at what you can learn from somebody else if you just open to it. And then the final one, number 5, is choose to connect. Here's the thing. Here's the secret. Here's the $1,000,000 piece of relationships. We all long to be heard and to be seen. We have all learned convoluted ways of getting it, but that is what we all want. And so when you're with this other person who thinks differently from you, know that both of you want the same thing. They want to be heard, to be seen, to be felt, to be understood. And so do you. So give that to the other person and watch what happens. It's magic in a relationship. And when the other person feels heard and seen, they're much more likely to then give that back to you. And even if they don't, it feels fantastic. And guess what? This is the goal, right? Isn't the point of all this? Is to connect. It's to be in relationship with the other person. We're saying, oh, we're so polarized, we're so far apart. How do we come together? This is how. Listen, accept, be curious. That's the secret. But you know what? Your reptile brain is going to go crazy when you try to do that because it's afraid. It thinks it's going to die. So you got to learn how to talk to it and just tell it to calm down. It's okay. We're not going to die. This is actually how we need to operate in today's world. We got to have the cortex in charge. So that, my friends, are the 5 keys to freedom in relationships. I'd love to know what you think about this. This is an evolving idea. I'm passionate about helping us heal the divides. And with my appreciative living work, this is how I see that we can make it happen. So let me know what else you want to hear below, any thoughts you have, and I'll look forward to connecting with you again. Take care. Bye for now.